Here in the UK, almost half of us live in towns, and they come in many shapes and sizes. There are seaside towns, commuter towns, post-industrial towns, market towns. But there is a narrative that unites them. Decades of investment in cities has left towns exposed, vulnerable to austerity and the challenges posed by globalisation and technological change. And of course, these were precisely the factors that lay behind the Brexit vote of June 2016, when Wigan, like the vast majority of towns, voted to leave the European Union.
64% of Wigan voted for Brexit.
Brexit, as commentators never tire of pointing out, represented a wake-up call for the establishment. And in the weeks that followed that vote, what those in the north like to call the London media flocked to post-industrial towns such as Wigan to try to figure out what had happened.
Now, a lot of people in the south are kind of pointing their finger to the north, saying that people that voted to leave are racist or xenophobic or don't know what they're talking about. So we've come up here to speak to people and find out what's going on.
And as a result, a narrative took shape. One populated by faded high streets with boarded up shops littered with jobless residents, all nostalgic for the good old days.
Very little street life here. All you can really hear is the distant hum of a nearby A road. What happened here? Why are all these shops shut down here?
2 years ago that closed down. It used to sell blinds. The bandstand's never used. There's too many pigeons.
Such has been the strength of this narrative that it's shaped our politics.
I think the biggest problem with what's happened to towns over the last 40 years is not just the economic decline and the problems that that's created. It's also the fact that many people in towns, rightly, I think, feel utterly ignored and at worst disrespected by the political system.
Try and make the case for Remain, and I would vote Remain again tomorrow if there was a second referendum, and I make no apology for that.
The crucial ingredient is not just that we've got a willing and active citizenry. I think you find that everywhere. What we've got is a council that increasingly, although it's been slow at times and a bit painful, is willing to give up power in order that others might have more.
Ian Warren, a data analyst with the Centre for Towns, says this relinquishing of power isn't just essential for local councils, it's essential at the national level too.
You've got lots of power in the centre at the moment. The worry is that with Brexit and other populist right movements, that this anger is going to continue to be expressed. If you don't give away some of your powers, you yourselves are going to come under threat. So you have to keep what you've got by giving it away.
The future of towns, says Ian, depends not just on political change, but on changing narratives.
Well, if you're from northwest where I'm from, the home of the Industrial Revolution, Bolton, Oldham, Rochdale, Wigan, what was historically called Cottonopolis, which is the towns around Manchester, their contribution to the world, not just to the northwest, is unparalleled in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion in the north, unsurprisingly. Part of the problem we're seeing now is that people know the contribution that they once made, that their grandfathers and grandmothers made, and they believe that they no longer make that contribution because somebody else makes that contribution now.
So we need to find a new story, as it were.
Yeah,
We've got an old story, but we don't have a new one.
Those places have historically had a purpose, and lots of those places now are struggling to find that. It's for those places to do it for themselves because they can do it, and trust them to deliver it.
Our towns have aged and our cities have grown younger, and it's that accounts for these stark differences in views on things like Brexit, on things like immigration. 40 years ago, those views were roughly similar in towns and cities. Now they couldn't be more different. You know, these are the places that are going to determine the outcome of the next general election.
hate being in the house on my own. I do like people. I always have done. When I first got married, I was in Silver Street and we had an off licence. I worked 7 days a week in there, 11 hours a day. I used to walk, I used to take my trolley and I could drive, but I stopped driving at 80 because I didn't think I was safe enough. And with all the things what have been pulled down and rebuilt, I don't know where I am half the time. Everything's so different. Different world today. My memory's not as good as it used to be.
I think we're the poor relation to Manchester. I never think we're a part of Manchester. And if you ask people around here to give you their address, they'll say Lancashire, because that's where everybody feels that that's where they belong, that's where we used to be. And when we moved over to Greater Manchester, we feel that we never get the cream of the crops, we never get the first choice of anything. So we're a deprived area that just seems to have to do it yourself.
In other words, while grouping towns into city regions seems to be the policy approach of choice, it's a controversial one.
I think we're leading the light as towns. You know, for me, we're the best town there is.